Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beth, and today's video is going to be all about Mob Beauty. So I've heard various YouTubers talk about this brand. I think it's a relatively new brand if I'm not mistaken, and one of the founders I think had some history with MAC, like he was a chemist with them or formulator, something like that. So anyway, they have some credentials behind them. But the interesting thing about them is that they are very like sustainability focused. So a lot of their packaging is meant to be kind of reused, refilled, and I think a lot of it is also biodegradable and compostable. So kind of a cool mission there behind the brand. And I've already kind of unboxed what I've purchased and already put it into the palettes, which I'll talk about in a moment. So this is kind of the idea, is that you have kind of these customizable palettes that you can fill with whatever products you want. They also have, I think, some pre-made or pre-selected palettes that you can pick out as well if you want to. So yeah, very, very curious to get into this. And I picked up most of what I'm about to show you from the Mob website a little while ago now. I think we're having a 20% off like friends and family sale. And I also purchased a few items from Beautylish. So I've kind of been sitting on these products for a little bit, but I wanted to go ahead and film with them because two retailers that sell Mob are currently having sales. So they are sold at Credo Beauty, which I believe is having a 20% off sale. And they are also sold at Beautylish, like I mentioned. The Beautylish sale isn't quite as good in my opinion because you get a $20 gift card that you can spend at Beautylish for every $100 you spend. So you really want to kind of hit right at that $100 increment to get the maximum payoff sort of thing. So I think 20% off is better. But Beautylish does have one gift with purchase I think they're still offering, which is the volumizing mascara from Mob. It's the full size, and you get this with a $50 order. So depending on, I guess, what you're buying, it may be better to buy at Beautylish versus Credo, but I just wanted to let you know that. So I'll kind of go over everything I purchased and obviously apply them to my face. I will have timestamps down below if you'd like to jump ahead to a particular section. So I did put together kind of a full face of powder products in this palette. So this palette contains, and I did film the assembly of this palette, so that may go up as a reel at some point. I'm not sure when I'll have a chance to edit it. I did actually kind of rearrange it since then because I liked how, like, having the bigger pans on one side, it was just more aesthetically pleasing, so I did that. But anyway, it's very difficult to hold this up. So in this palette, I have their powder highlighter, and I'll go through the shades and everything. I have a blush, a bronzer. These are cake liners, so they are water activated liners, and I got, I guess, a brown, and it looks black, but I think it's actually like a turquoise color. So I got two shimmer or metallic shadows, and then these are two matte shadows at the bottom. So I got those, and I was only going to stick with the powder formulas. They do have powder and cream formulas, which I'll talk about. Professional makeup artists, they will not mix matte and shimmer powders in a palette because they don't want the shimmer to get into the matte powders. I don't mind as much about that, but I'm not keen on shimmer or matte powder getting into cream products. So I got a separate little 4-pan, and this also has a cream highlighter, blush, and bronzer. And there's one missing, and I'll talk more about the packaging in a moment, but I kind of left that open for their foundation, which I haven't purchased in the full size. And again, I'll talk about that more in a second. But yeah, this was kind of the cream palette I put together. And I wasn't going to pick up any cream products, but then I was watching some past videos from various people who had talked about Mob Beauty, and Michelle Wong had gone on at length about how much she liked the cream formula. So I was like, all right, let me pick out some of these. And I feel like there's already a speck of something in that bronzer. So you have the 4-pan, the, I guess, 6-pan, although some of these are kind of split. And then you can also get just like a single. And then I think they also have one that's even like half of this. So As you can see, the eyeshadows and the cake liners are half the size of the like face products. So I'll show you on this kind of empty palette as a demo. But the way this works, it is a magnetic closure. I was wondering if they designed it the way they did so that they avoided the use of magnets, because I think that can interfere with the recyclability of packaging, but they do still have magnets in the packaging, so I don't really understand fully why they chose to make these the way they did. So basically what you do, you can see there are 2 slots, and those are kind of how you see the shades. I'll show you a pan in a moment, but basically you lift this part of it up, and then you would kind of rest whatever pan, or even couple of pans if you're using an eyeshadow. You rest them in those little slots, and then you snap that top kind of layer shut, which keeps the pan in place, and you can just open and close it like that. So that's the basic mechanism. And to show you, I guess I'll show you on these, but the pans, it's a little kind of difficult to get this thing up. I always feel like I'm gonna chip a nail. So there is a little hole at the top there, so I'm wondering if I just use a pin that will pop it open. I think that helps, but still, I find it, once you get it in, once you kind of assemble your palette, it's not something that's like, in my opinion, super easy to kind of rearrange. Like if you were a working makeup artist. Okay, so I just stuck a spatula kind of in that little groove. So yeah, so hopefully you can kind of see how they're all resting in there. And I'll take this blush for example. You can see how there's holes in the bottom there, and then it does have the shade kind of stamped in on one of those little bottom pieces. So it's just like a molded plastic kind of thing. There's another hole there. I was kind of hoping that the pan would just pop out, but no. So anyway, so yeah, it's written on one of, I just spilled everything in my lap. Yeah, don't recommend that you do this trying to hold it up in the air, but yeah. You can see it's written on one side, and I, being kind of OCD about it, try to make it so the writing is all kind of going the same way, which is easier said than done when you're holding it in the air. So there's that, but if you notice the eyeshadow pans, there's one side has a little bit more of a lip to it, so that greater lip always has to be on the outside, so you kind of have to arrange them in a way that, you know, you have to turn them this way or that, so that that side is on the exterior, which means if I show you on the back here again, it means that one of the eyeshadow labels is facing up and the other is facing down in some cases. So unless I'm missing something here, I admit that I don't have like the strongest spatial reasoning, but yeah, from what I can tell, like I have to keep them oriented this way so that they fit into the palette, and then the sticker is upside down. So it's kind of annoying, to be honest. So, you know, just my critique on the packaging, like I just don't understand why they don't just use metal pans and let you put them in a palette, like a just open Z palette. Or for example, I pulled out this empty Viseart palette to put some samples. So I'll talk more about this craft project in a moment. Yeah, just a big open magnetic space. You pop in the metal pans and you're good to go. I'm not sure, now that I think about it, whether they use metal pans that are attracted to magnets or if they use, I think aluminum isn't, right? Because these are the little samples. So I got 2 lip samples with my order from Mob, and I think they're numbered by like when they were created. So M22, that is a hydrating shine lip balm. That retails the full size for $24, and shade M22 is a pink coral. The hydrating cream lipstick next to it, M60, is a rose taupe brown. And that retails for $24 in the full size. So to give them credit, talking about the prices, I think most of their items, if not everything, is under $30. So the price point is not bad. But let's talk about these little guys. So what I did with these samples, the pans themselves are not attracted to magnets. So I had to stick one of those little pieces of metal on the back to get it to stick. I don't even know, I have this like little pouch of things that I got maybe with a Z palette at some point, but yeah, that is what I used. I used the little square ones, and they just have like a little piece of kind of adhesive that you peel off or whatever. So I had to do that. So admittedly, this is not kind of the intended use for these products. I kind of hacked it, if you want to say it that way. So yeah, I just wish they would make them out of metal that was something you could put into a palette. And these are all samples of their foundation. So another kind of good thing I think they do is that you can purchase individual shades, I think in every shade they make, of their foundation for I think $1 a piece. And then when you purchase the sample, you do get, I think, $5 off of their foundation. So you can try out a lot of different shades, and each one of these little pans is supposed to be good enough for like 1 to 2 full faces. So I picked out 6 shades, as you can tell. The neutral ones are in the middle. I went neutral 0, neutral 10, neutral 20, and neutral 30, and then we have pink 20 and pink 30. And I will swatch these on my face in a moment because I don't know which of these is probably my ideal shade. But I selected basically all of the fairest shades absent the one with golden undertones because I didn't think that one would work for me. But yeah, so what I did, I took the little metal piece that I showed you, and then I also cut out a piece of the like packaging. I peeled off the sticker and then kind of trimmed it to fit so it still has the shade on there. So yeah, that was my little craft project one afternoon. But other than the products I've already showed you, so I have the mascara, and this is also refillable somehow. I'm not sure exactly how, but I will be using that. And then I also did get their powder. So this is the Blurring Loose Setting Powder. So it's a loose powder, and this is the shade Translucent. This packaging, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of. It's a little difficult to get out of the packaging, the box. And it's just like a cardboard. Yeah, you just take it off. It feels kind of like, I don't know, like a limited edition ColourPop type packaging. And I, again, totally understand what they were going for with the kind of, let me just, I might just take off half. Or I know some people actually, oops, just make a mess. I know some people just actually like punch holes in some of the holes there. And that's what the underside of the cap looks like. So not my favorite. I'm not sure if these plastic components are somehow biodegradable, but I feel like they could have made this packaging a little bit more luxe and made it so it was reusable, so you could buy just like a refill of powder and stick it in there somehow, rather than kind of go this route, which to me just feels kind of cheap. And I mean, I find loose powder to be kind of messy in the best of circumstances with kind of better engineered packaging, like House Labs or the Oma or Makeup Forever ones have kind of an interesting mechanism. So there are a lot of interesting ways you can go about it, even Rare Beauty, for example. So not my favorite, but anyway. So some of the products, this was the highlighter, they just come in little kind of clamshell type things like this, and you kind of cut them open. This was a sleeve for the mascara, I think a sleeve for the single compact. This is just a standard box type thing. And then they have, for whatever reason, some of them came like this and some of them came with this style of packaging. So this is something you could actually use to store your makeup effectively if you didn't want to buy the little like plastic components. So yeah, I think this was the Hyaluronic Highlight Balm, maybe came in this packaging. Also the single like cake liners came in this kind of packaging. And I just saved the packaging for one of the little samples. So they basically came in like a little folded piece of paper here, and there was a sticker that came down the front that I peeled off and trimmed, like I mentioned. And you just kind of lift that up, and then the pan was kind of stuck there. I actually cut this bit so I could pry it off the back. But Anyway, that's how their samples come, which I don't mind. I just wish they were magnetized. Okay, so that is kind of my thoughts on the packaging. I know I spent a bit of time on that, but I feel like since they do make such a big deal out of their packaging and the sustainability aspect of it, it warrants a mention. I feel like Urban Decay was kind of the same way with their kind of bespoke packaging, or RMS too. Like they have refills, but they make it so it's very specific to their components rather than just having basic metal pans, which is my preference. So let's talk about the foundation. So I already have eye primer on, which I set, and I also applied a corrector. And then on my face, I have the Make Reverse Emulsion as kind of a base hydrating layer. So the Blurring Ceramide Cream Foundation retails for $26. It comes in 36 shades. They say that it is skincare packed with a blurring, natural radiant finish, flexible, weightless skin feel, and effortless to apply with versatile coverage. Award-winning hyaluronic acid and ceramide 2 deliver visibly hydrated, supple skin. It is clean and vegan. They say they also added anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. And all MOB ingredients are biodegradable, ethically sourced, clean, cruelty-free, and vegan. All formulas are silicone and talc-free. So I think that gives you an idea of what this product is. I will, of course, have everything linked down below. Let's go ahead and swatch these. So the first shade is Neutral Zero. This is Fairest Porcelain with neutral undertones. And I'm just gonna kind of, it's very, very kind of creamy to the touch, very emollient. So this might be tad light. That is Neutral 0. Neutral 10 is just fair with neutral undertones. I feel like that one has a little bit more yellow in it. And then the next shade that I skipped is Gold 10. So I don't have the description in front of me, but I imagine it's something like fair with golden undertones. Let's see, Neutral 20, fair to light with neutral undertones. And then Neutral 30 is light with neutral undertones. I kind of went more expansive than I might otherwise because they were only $1 a piece. So I think I might go with Neutral 10. I think the other two are looking a little deep, kind of yellowy peachy. Tempted to go with the lightest one, but it could be too light. Sometimes I make that mistake. Okay, and then Pink 20 is fair to light with cool pink undertones. So I'll try and swatch it above Neutral 20. And then Pink 30 is light with cool pink undertones. So what do you guys think? Let me know what you think my best match is down below. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to kind of see it when it's swatched this way. All right, I think I'm gonna go with the Neutral 10. I think Neutral 0 might actually match my neck better, but I don't wanna be too ghostly, even though it's a couple weeks before Halloween at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to use my finger, and the full size is in a pan as well. So I guess you could pick it up on a sponge or a brush if you wanted to, but I would probably take the same approach of just kind of dotting it on. Okay, so I just dampened my beauty blender, and I'm just going to see kind of how well this spreads. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to try this product, and I think it came out after like Michelle Wong filmed her video, so it's a relatively new product. I think the shade match is pretty good. But I saw Tanya Wells talk about this product. And I do have dry skin. I'm going to take a BK 106 style brush. I feel like that actually maybe removes some of the coverage. So personally, I think I prefer a sponge like I do with most foundations, but like it's a very kind of natural level of coverage. But I think it did kind of even out some redness. I'm going to take some of Neutral 0 underneath the eyes. I don't think they say explicitly to use this as a concealer, but might as well. I think I probably could have gotten away with this shade given how sheer this is all over. I think I do like it as... So I'm using my brush to pick up some because it's a smaller brush, obviously. So I like it. I think they say versatile coverage. So I guess you can build it. I mean, it looks really natural for sure. I just wouldn't go in expecting a lot of coverage. But I think it looks nice on my dry skin. It's kind of fun having these little pans that I can just play around with. I suppose you could have a palette of multiple shades if you wanted to. So I think I'm gonna leave it there for the foundation. It's interesting. It reminds me, in theory, it's kind of like the Sneaky Balm from Salt New York, which I have somewhere around here. Or like the Glossier Stretch Concealer. It kind of, to me, seems to fit within that world. So I'm just going to throw some brow gel. All right, so before I powder or anything, I think I'm going to try out some of their cream formulas. Actually, let me apply their lip balm that I have in this little sample. So this retails for $24 in the full size. It says, cushion your lips with an infusion of jojoba, mimosa, and sunflower oils. A hint of color with a lush, glossy finish. And this is also clean and vegan. Nice little bit of color here. It's a bit of a thinner balm. I feel like I just got it outside of my lips. I think it's heavier on the pigment than the like balm qualities. So that might be something I would enjoy more in like a standard lipstick style component than like a little pan. So, okay, so let's talk about the cream bronzer. So this retails for $28. I think you do get a discount if you like put together a palette. I'm not sure exactly how much it works out to, but they say this is a unique cream formula infused with clay for longer wear in a velvety cushion cloud texture. Warm, sun-kissed matte finish that doubles as the ideal contour. So that's good. Maybe I'll just try to use this more as a contour. Avocado provides buttery blendability, and a 4-plant blend nourishes the skin. Again, clean and vegan. And this M80 shade is a taupe brown. So I'm going to use this Patrick Ta for contour brush and just go into the pan. So it's not as gray toned as some contours, and like my preferred contour is going to be a little bit more gray toned, and it doesn't feel like super emollient. I don't know, for me personally, I would probably stick with the Makeup by Mario if I were going for this kind of cream product. I'm just gonna see if I can contour the nose a little bit. And you can see that's definitely reading, I think, a little bit warm, at least on me. I'm not sure if this is the ideal brush. It's the Alamar Pigment Packer brush. So it's actually an eyeshadow brush, but you know, just kind of grab what's most accessible. All right, so going in with the blush, so this is also $28. They say it is velvety cushion cloud texture, radiant soft focus matte finish, multi-use, sheer to saturated for cheeks, lips, and anywhere you want color, skincare infused, long wearing, clean, and vegan. So for this one, I'm just gonna put my fingers in, and I don't know if you can see, it's a stickier formula, but you do get, I guess, a decent amount of pigment from it. So it looks okay. With products like this, I just always wonder whether it looks like blush or it looks like I've kind of removed the foundation and like it's breaking up and my natural redness is coming through. So I don't know. I'm not totally kind of enthralled with this. I think I'm gonna save the highlight balm for the end. I just want to see how that kind of does over powder. Okay, so now that I have applied cream products, I'm going to go in with the powder, and I'll just go ahead and rip off the full sticker here. So that's how it looks, and normally, you know, you would maybe dispense some of it in the cap. Because the cap has kind of, you know, a lip in it, I'm not sure how well this is really gonna go over. It's falling on my pants. I have a really old video on my channel, I think, where I talk about using like a shaving soap container for loose powder. And I was thinking of trying to find that, because I think I still have it, I mean, I'm sure I could just fully dismantle this. You can see where the powder kind of gets into the edges. I'm sure there are other like loose powder components that you can just buy empty and dispense. I mean, the good news is like my skin still looks glowy, still feels a little tacky. Yeah, look. It's already making a mess. I am not really a fan. All right, so that is it for the powder. Let's try the bronzer. So with this size pan, I'm not sure my normal bronzer brush, I mean, I guess I can make it work. So the bronzer, and this is one of the reasons also that I wanted to try out this line of makeup, because the bronzer retails for $26. They say buttery silky texture, non-drying matte finish. Color intensifies as you layer and can double as a contour. So I guess it just maybe depends on what shade you choose. Long wearing, free of talc, clean, and vegan. So this shade in particular, M36, is a rose taupe, which sounded right up my alley. As you may know, the Gucci bronzer in the shade 1 is kind of my all-time favorite, and those are looking pretty similar. Let me swatch them. I don't have the Jones Road one. This one might even be rosier. So the Gucci's on my middle finger. Yeah, this one is even rosier. This one looks like it has a little bit more kind of a yellow tint in it. That's really interesting. So the Gucci's on the top and the mauve is on the bottom. So we'll see how it looks on the face, but I feel like I'm always kind of on the hunt for a good bronzer, like a good rosy bronzer for cool tones. I also have the Phytosurgeons bronzers that I haven't really played with yet. So I kind of have it in mind to do some comparison swatches of rosy bronzers, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So I was just kind of rubbing this on a paper towel. There's still some color on the brush, but I think I got most of it. Okay, so this is the Refer 22, and I'm a little worried about picking up too much. All right, so I think I'm going a little bit heavier. I was being a little bit kind of safe. And this isn't normally kind of the order I would apply my makeup. Usually I would not do like a cream bronzer and a powder bronzer like I would do a contour, but I would apply them slightly differently. So I think it looks nice on the forehead. It looks a little patchy on the cheeks, but again, I don't know if that's because I had those other products. So I think this product is promising. I think I probably just need to maybe pop it into a separate pan so I can like get a bigger brush in there without worrying about getting into the other products, and use it with like different makeup just so I can get a better read on it. But I am optimistic about the color. The blush is also $26. Again, buttery texture, non-drying matte finish, soft focus color, intensifies as you layer. So this shade is M31, which is a dusty mauve. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same formula as the bronzer. Okay, so the blush, I'm using a Refer number 5. It feels silky. And again, I think this product has promise. I think I just need to apply it with a different base and like my kind of usual products. All right, and then for the highlighter, all of these are $26. It says finely crushed pearls, add a layer of light wherever you apply. Buttery texture, non-drying illumination that is free of talc, clean, and vegan. So the shade M50 that I have is a shimmering white gold, and I'm applying that with an Anastasia A23. Okay, so this is gonna be kind of a more subtle highlight. It's really pretty, actually. If now that we're almost a decade past, like 2016 or whatever, I think if you have like more mature skin or more textured skin, I think you might really enjoy this formula. Like, it's still obviously there, but I think it's a lot more subtle than some other formulas on the market, like the more beaming. So I think it might just depend. I'm just going over with the blush to kind of blend a little bit. Yeah, I think you might really enjoy that highlighter formula. It kind of reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight, like in its shade and kind of the way it mostly melts into the skin. So this is Spotlight, which is a cream product. I need to get a new one of these. And then this is the highlighter. So yeah, not the same shade, but I feel like the effect is kind of similar. And all of these products I'm showing you, like the bronzer, blush, highlighter, they do have additional shades. I just chose the ones that I thought would be like most flattering to my skin tone or that would work well together. Okay, and I just want to tap a little bit of this highlighter Balm on. So this is 26. The cream bronzer and blush were both 28, so this is a little bit cheaper for whatever reason. So anyway, so yeah, the highlighter Balm, that's kind of how it looks on the finger. This one I think has a little bit more of an opalescence to it, which I tend to think is really pretty on my skin tone. And because I think all the products I've put underneath it are not, like they're not super matte or super powdery, I feel like that works just fine over everything. So if you wanted to use that as your last finishing touch, you definitely could. All right, so now on to the eyes. So I picked up 2 matte shadows, 2 shimmery shadows, and then the 2 cake liners, mostly just to kind of, I guess, put together a palette composition that made sense to me. So the eyeshadows I think retail for $16 each. They say they are pro quality payoff, smooth, non-drying texture, rich buttery pigments, blend easily with no fallout, long wearing, free of talc, clean and vegan. Okay, so the matte, I got M2, which is a matte bone. M32 is a matte gray brown. M43 is a shimmering champagne. And M44 is a lilac taupe sheen. And I'm not sure that these look exactly how I thought they would based on the pictures online, but that's fine. So I already primed and set my lids, so I'm gonna go in with M2, which is the matte bone, on a Sigma brush. So yeah, I just kind of picked the basics of what I felt I needed. I think that does apply really nicely. I have a little bit of like an eczema patch on that eyelid, but I think it does well enough. All right, so no complaints there. And then taking a classic crease from Sonia G, I'm gonna go into the M32 matte gray brown. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be a little bit deep. I was thinking I could also maybe reach into the bronzer as kind of a more transition shade, which I think I want to do. Okay, so going into the bronzer on the same brush and just trying to blend. Normally I would go in with the kind of transition shade first on this kind of brush and then take a smaller brush to go in with the matte brown. Because this is a bronzer, it's not going to be quite as pigmented. So I think the shadows worked well enough for how I use them and how they're intended to be used. I'm going to take my little flat definer and go in with the bronzer again. And this helps prevent creasing underneath the eyes. I did see a little bit of creasing, which I just kind of blended out with my finger. You can also take your setting powder right underneath the lash line, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of definition. So I'm just going to take a Refer 28 brush and I'll start off with this purpley shade. I think it's looking more purpley in the pan than maybe I thought it would. This is a lilac taupe sheen, they call it. And this is a dry brush. I'm just going to barely tap it just to make sure there's no fallout. All right, so out of curiosity, I'm going to spray my brush with some Fix Plus and see what that does. A little bit of kind of clumping there. I don't think they kind of explicitly say that you can use their shadows wet, but okay. And then for the lighter shade, it's a very icy white champagne. Just trying to blend that a little bit. All right, so I think that's good enough. So to be honest, the eyeshadows were kind of what I was the least optimistic about. I think I got a pretty look out of them. I don't know that they're anything super special, to be honest. So I might hold off on going for those. The cake liner is interesting. So I know like Laura Mercier has done cake liner, but not a lot of brands seem to. So each of these retails for $19. It says dense inky powder liner formulated to use wet to create endless liner looks from an artist precision tight line to a dramatic cat eye and more. And they say smudge proof, long wearing, clean, vegan, and free of talc. And they recommend using with the MOB01 brush for an ultra defined tight line. So I said, I think the one right here, M90 is a deep brown and the M116 is a deep peacock. So I really want to try the peacock shade again because it's a little bit more unusual. So I just wet this little BK liner brush with Fix Plus and I'm curious how this will go. I think I might need a little bit more moisture there. All right, so I just filled this little candle vessel. It seems to come in handy for beauty uses, and dip my brush in and let's see if I can get a more impactful line here. Cake liner isn't something that you can kind of get from a lot of brands. I feel like if you really like doing powder liner and you want something that maybe has a little bit more impact or staying power, you might really like this kind of formulation. It's a really pretty color too. To me, it's somewhere between, I guess, a powder, like an eyeshadow liner, and like a gel in a pot. I think it is also easier to be precise. The downside, of course, is that you need to have something to wet your brush with. And depending on how you want to pack your makeup or whatever, like if you're traveling, it may be more or less travel friendly. I think this is still more compact than like the Laura Mercier ones. And like I said, they have those single compacts. So you can, just have a single cake liner if you want to do that, or you could have 2 or 3 different shades. I don't know that, like, this is the size of the duo, so just imagine half of this. And I mean, you don't have to worry about sharpening a pencil, so there's that. But, how much more space does this take up maybe? Again, I think it kind of depends. Like if you're already buying into this system, then yeah, maybe including a pan or 2 of liner is more compact. But yeah, interesting little addition there. I do like that color. It's almost my eye color. I'm not sure how well it will do because it is water activated. I'm not sure how well it will do on the waterline. If you are into, let's see if I can just, yeah, like if you like doing a waterline liner, it's probably not going to be as easy. Like I am getting some pigment on there, but a traditional pencil is probably going to be easier, and probably the same for tight lining unless you really kind of go more into the lashes and the waterline type part. But if you like doing this style of liner, I think it works really well. And with this style of brush too, like it's nice to be able to kind of get a really precise line. So yeah, I like that. Okay, so I think the mascara is next. So this is a volumizing formula, which sounds good to me. $26, and again, it's free with a $50 mob purchase at Beautylish. They say it is vegan clean mascara for instant, big, bold, fluffy lashes. All-day smudge-proof wear with unprecedented curl and hold. And it's supposed to be endlessly refillable. Again, I'm not really sure how the refill works. Maybe, does that inner part come out? It has an hourglass, like natural style brush. And yeah, I'm not sure how the refill works, to be honest. So I always curl my lashes. I like the Surratt lash curlers. And okay, so this is the type of formula and brush I like. I think my lashes look decently lifted. Not too bad. Normally I will go for a waterproof mascara because my lashes tend to point downwards and they're really straight. So having a waterproof formula tends to help keep them lifted. And this is the first time I'm using this mascara. It doesn't feel overly wet for being new. I'm wondering how this will age. If you want more of a lengthening formula, separating, that kind of thing, this probably won't be for you. Yeah, I feel like going in for a second coat, like it does tend to clump, like if you can see if I look downwards. So I would probably stick with one coat for this formula. Not terrible, and I'm not doing a wear test today. Yeah, I would definitely recommend sticking at one coat. I think it looked good at one coat too. It was a bit clumpy for my taste. I'll go ahead and try and apply some of this to the bottom lashes. Usually I use the Clinique bottom lash. So yeah, so I think you can see it's still, I think it looks a little clumpy on the bottom lashes. Okay, so that is the mascara, and I think the only thing left is the lipstick. And you can buy the compacts separately, if I didn't mention that, but talking about the lipstick, so it retails for $24. It's the Hydrating Cream Lipstick. It says one swipe color saturation beyond creamy texture infused with vitamin C and E, chamomile and jojoba for rich hydration. Again, it's clean and vegan. And the shade M60 is a rose taupe brown. So I want to use, I think, a lip brush. I'm going to use this Refer 21 brush. It's an eyeshadow brush, but it's convenient. And this is, I think, a blend of natural and synthetic. Yeah, normally I would just apply it from the bullet, but all right. So I feel like, you know, I had to kind of work a little bit to get some product on the brush. When you are applying from a bullet, you the warmth of your lips helps to kind of get the product on there. So again, it's a little bit more, I don't know, drier than I expected. I feel like lately we're used to such like kind of glossy lip products. I don't think it looks matte necessarily, and it's not like super drying. It's just more of like a natural finish. And again, it is kind of harder. It is harder to build up color that way, but I'm just gonna take my finger in the pan so you can see a little bit more. I'm not sure I really love this color, but it's what I have. Okay. Yeah, and I think it's a fine product, but it's not something I would probably rush out to purchase more of. Okay. So that is the full face complete. Let me know what you guys think. So I'll just kind of run through and give you like my thumbs up, thumbs down type recommendations here. So I think the cream foundation is interesting, and because you can try it for $1, I think it's worth trying if you're interested in it. If you are into products like the Salt New York Sneaky Balm or like the Glossier Stretch Concealer, that type of product, like it does look very natural on the skin, and I do have dry skin. So yeah, I think it looks nice. I think I would just be prepared for light coverage. And I guess moving on to talk about the like cream bronzer and blush, I think personally I preferred the powder versions. So I guess the good news is if you do want to purchase a pan of the foundation, eventually you can just get like a single like this and still keep things pretty compact and travel friendly. I was not terribly impressed with the cream bronzer or blush, so I would probably skip those. Like I said, I thought the powder bronzer had a really interesting tone, and the blush had a really nice kind of silky finish. I need to play around with those with kind of some other products underneath to kind of get a true read, but that is where I would kind of look first. I think the setting powder is nice if you want something that's going to be on the softer side in terms of mattification. Like if you are into the Kosas Cloud Set, for example, I think you might like the setting powder have something underneath this eye. If you need some hardcore mattification, I don't think that's going to do it for you. And I'm also not a huge fan of the packaging, which I talked about. So you can, I guess, try and take apart the packaging and put it into something else. I don't think I would recommend that as being worth the effort, but I might try it since I already have it. I already talked about the bronzer and the blush, and the two highlighters I thought were both nice. So those may be worth looking at. And the eyeshadows, again, I thought were okay. I don't think they're anything super special. So if you do want to create a full face in a palette, I don't think they're duds. I just wouldn't go so far as to like create a full eyeshadow palette out of their shades, because I don't think they're worth the cost. I think, you know, just given what I have here, and again, you may get a discount either through a sale or by creating a palette. For $16 each, I just don't think they're worth the cost. I mean, any single eyeshadow tends to be more expensive, but you're not really paying for the packaging because you're not getting like an elaborate compact, you're just getting the shade itself. So I would think maybe about skipping that. I did enjoy the cake liners, and they are kind of a more unique product. They're not new to this brand or anything, but they're not as common on the market, and I think they're kind of fun to play around with. So it might just depend kind of your preference in terms of how you like to apply your eyeliner and how you like to wear it. But I think, you know, they did have a couple of really kind of pretty, interesting shades, so those may be worth taking a look at. The mascara, I think if you are interested in it, I would recommend maybe picking up a few other things from Beautylish during the gift card event. So you can buy items across brands. So you could buy like $50 of Mob and $50 of another brand and get this for free, and get a $20 gift card from Beautylish. So that may be something worth considering if you are thinking about it. For $26, I don't think it's anything super unique, and I'd have to look at if I can find out how much the refills are. So this is saying the mascara capsule is $5 and the lip capsules are $5. How do you just buy the mascara? Oh, is just the component, so not this outer plastic bit. Like if the refill is just $26 alone, like I was expecting the refill to be cheaper than $26. Yeah, I'd say pass on the mascara. I think you can get better options anywhere, like at the drugstore or whatever. I don't know that it's worth buying theirs. And I think the lip products too, I would suggest passing. I don't think they're anything super special. And I'm guessing the prices I was giving you earlier were also just the refill. I'm trying to figure out if the refills are made out of cardboard. Anyway, I think for me that's probably a pass. I think part of this kind of whole system they have going, like it really makes the most sense to kind of stick with these palettes. I think all the products outside of that are kind of iffy. So the attractive thing about this to me is that conceivably you could fit a full face into a very kind of sleek palette like this. That's really the appeal for me, and I think some of the formulas that they do have kind of live up to that promise, and you would be very happy using them either at home or on the road. But for other products, I just don't think it makes as much sense, and like this is not going to be travel friendly at all. So yeah, that is it for Mob Beauty. Let me know if you've tried any of their products and what you think about them, or if you've been interested in trying anything, if you plan on shopping either of the sales I mentioned, or I'm sure Mob Beauty will have another sale at some point down the road. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.